Thank you for tuning in to the 2021 Jones Board of Trustee Election Candidate Forum. My name is Peggy Dodd. I am a current senior at Jones High School. Before we begin this forum, I would like to take this time to encourage all registered voters to vote on Tuesday, April 6th at their polling place. Voters may vote for 2 candidates from the 2-year selection and 2 from the 4-year selection. During this forum, you will hear the responses from each candidate to 5 common questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer. To remind voters of the candidates for the 4-year term, here today with us are Casey Burwell and Hill. The candidates who could not be with us today are Chris Calvert, Brandon Chinney, Tim Cook, Matt Elrick, and Josh Kerr. We'll begin today with Mr. Burwell. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having us out here and letting everybody put a name with a face.
It is important and crucial for future trustees to fully understand what goes into city government. Are you prepared to work with all other city employees, such as the Public Works Authority, the Planning Committee, your fellow trustees, and all other Town of Jones departments?
I would say, of course, yeah, we have to. We're a small town. We need everybody to pull their own weight and to work together towards a common goal. If we're not doing that, we're not going anywhere.
A trustee must be dedicated to truly serving and bettering the community. Please detail your prior experience with community service and include any work with Kiwanis, Oddfellows, the Masonic Lodge, or other independent work.
I am currently a member of the Oddfellows Lodge. I'm a lifetime member. When I joined, I was the youngest member. Thankfully, there's been more youth get involved in that. Sadly, that's something that's missing now is community involvement out of a lot of younger people. So some of the organizations have gone away, like the Rebecca's Lodge down there, no longer exist. Other than the Oddfellows, I've been a coach for T-ball at Kiwanis for 3 years now, and actually held an open coaching or open group during the fall because we weren't going to have a league, and I wanted kids to be able to get some sort of normal back during the pandemic.
Everyone wants nothing but the best for the town of Jones. Funding is difficult for these small towns. How would you fund programs you wish to establish or continue during your term?
I think we've got to go out and look at grants. I know that's already happening. That's part of the solution, but we also need to look for other ways of generating revenue. Whether we build some new construction and rent it out as a source of income for the city, that's another possibility. Sales tax, nobody wants to see their taxes go up. I'm a taxpayer just like anyone else, but sometimes it may be necessary to fund infrastructure issues if you need the money or to better the town. It would be my last resort, but it may be a possibility.
Right. Trustees are the local connection to politics. For citizens to become active voters, they must be led by active voters themselves. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is voting in all elections, be that presidential, midterm, or local to you?
I think it's very important. I vote in every election. I look for things that I seem to be able to get behind and try to push those. Anybody that knows me privately knows I'm pretty political to the extent that sometimes I have to be reminded to slow down a little bit. But I like the political process. I think that if you don't vote, you don't have anything to complain about. Right. So you can't just leave it and then complain later because you didn't do anything to try to change it.
Trustees should know the people they represent well. Please describe your efforts to reach out to the community in order to understand their point of view and opinions prior to the election.
I'm a talker. I'm involved in the community through Little League sports with basketball and baseball, and I'll talk to anybody about it and hear their ideas. I may not always have the best ideas, or other people can come to me with things that I haven't even thought of, and that's what we need. Everybody to get involved and come up with new ideas, better way of doing things, business generators for the city. So you've got to be involved, and I talk to anybody that wants to talk.
Right. You now have 1 minute and 30 seconds to directly address the audience. Your time begins now.
I think it's important for you to vote. If you want, there's several qualified candidates that are on the docket. So vote your conscience and vote for somebody that you can get behind that you think is going to improve the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next candidate is Mr. Hill. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for having us here.
It is important and crucial for future trustees to fully understand what goes into city government. Are you prepared to work with all other city employees, such as the Public Works Authority, the Planning Committee, your fellow trustees, and all other Town of Jones departments?
Yes, I will work with all town employees and all board members to help make the proper decisions for the citizens of Jones.
Okay. A trustee must be dedicated to truly serving and bettering the community. Please detail your prior experience with community service and include any work with Kiwanis, Oddfellows, the Masonic Lodge, or any other organization.
Okay, I'm a member of the Jones Kiwanis and attend meetings as my work schedule allows. Been there about 2 years now. I'm a life member of Knights Templar International. After I was recruited to join them in 2010 after I received the 2009 Amber Alert Coordinator of the Year from the United States Department of Justice for my work in protecting the children of the Gila River Indian community in Arizona by establishing the first Amber Alert program in Indian country in the United States. And as a child and a teenager, I served in the Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts here in Jones, and as well as at the Royal Rangers at the First Baptist Church here in Jones, which I'm a member of. I believe that established my desire to serve as a public safety advocate, as firefighter, police officer, the new emergency manager, the numerous positions have held across Oklahoma and Arizona.
Everyone wants nothing but the best for Jones. Funding is difficult for these small towns. How would you fund programs you wish to establish or continue during your term?
Locate and obtain the appropriate funding, grant funding, whether it be county, state, federal, tribal. We do have opportunities to obtain some tribal funding because of our closeness to the Kickapoo tribe. Also, possibly city bonds, if they're appropriate for the project, and sales tax as approved by the citizens.
Trustees are the local connection to politics. For citizens to become active voters, they must be led by active voters themselves. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is voting in all elections, be that presidential, midterm, or local to you?
That's 10. You should participate. We must elect officials, in my opinion, that align with your views, even though a lot of times that doesn't happen. So you just try to elect those who feel the same way that you do to promote your ideas.
Trustees should know the people they represent well. Please describe your efforts to reach out to the community in order to understand their point of view and opinions prior to the election.
Well, I've been going door to door as I can and meeting people around town. Got some ideas from them that I wasn't aware of. Also, as I'm taking my granddaughters around to their sports activities, I talk to the other parents in the crowd, get their ideas. I have held a couple of greet and meet events that weren't really, I didn't advertise them that much. So I did have a few people show up at a couple of the restaurants, Roosters and Jorge's, just to see if I could get some ideas. And I had like 5 or 6 people stop by and talk to me. And
You will now have 1 minute and 30 seconds to directly address the audience. Your time begins now.
thank you, and I'd appreciate your vote. For those of you that don't know me, I graduated in 1975 from Jones High School after attending all 12 years. Basically grew up in Jones. I was emergency manager here in town a couple of decades ago. At the time, I was successful in obtaining several grants from Homeland Security and others for the town of Jones. I believe I can do the same thing again. I do have experience in grants. I'm a peer reviewer for the Department of Justice COPS grant, peer reviewer for the Homeland Security grant program today, which means I review all grants, well, not all, a group of grants that are submitted to me for review, and we make our recommendations on whether they get approved or not. So I am experienced in grant writing and what not to put on the grants to get them rejected. So I believe I can help in that aspect. And basically, if you don't know me, ask around. Like a lot of the people here today, I grew up with their parents. So, or maybe even your grandparents. So just ask them if they don't know me. I did own a bar in town a decade or so ago. It's now the Well House. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you to all the candidates, and best of luck in the election to all of you. This concludes the form of the 4-year term candidates and the end of this stream. Remember to vote on April 6th at your designated polling place. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. Thank you guys for watching.